I have been told by some people, child molesters, pedophiles are protected in prison. They can't get hurt. They're in protective custody. Protective custody is safe. Well, number one, not all child molesters are in protective custody. There's many of them out there that survive in open population as long as they don't brag about their crime or talk to other inmates about their crime. And yes, there are many in protective custody because they've requested protective custody. But does that make protective custody a safe place for a child molester, for a pedophile, for anyone, any inmate actually checking into protective custody? Newsflash, folks, let's be real. There is no really 100% safe place for an inmate in prison, okay? Let's just get real. For those of you who haven't worked in a prison and you believe that, there's all these things we can do to protect somebody, well, yes, we can, and it works for the vast majority of the time, but it doesn't always work. Let's talk about child molester John Geoghan, a Catholic priest who was put in prison for sexually abusing a lot of children, a lot of minors. He was in the Sueza Correctional Center located in Massachusetts, and he was in protective custody for his crimes against children. Only one problem, though. He was in a cell with another inmate named Joseph Lee Deuce, who was serving life in prison for killing a gay man who offered him a ride. And Deuce was also a neo-Nazi member and a member of the neo-Nazi group, and he was in this cell with this Catholic priest, John Geoghan. And he decided, I've had enough of John Geoghan, putting up with him. He barricaded his cell door, and he killed the Catholic priest, John Geoghan, in protective custody, folks. Now, there's other stories of inmates being killed in protective custody across our country. I'm not going to go through all of them. Just take my word for it. Inmates have been killed in protective custody. It is not a 100% safe place to be for an inmate, but it does work the vast majority of the time. I'll say that again, but it does not always work. And what type of inmates do we have in protective custody? Oh, we have all kinds. We have gang members in there that are in protective custody for fear of being killed from some of their own gang members for something they did, or other gang members. Of course, we have pedophiles and child molesters, a topic today. We have inmates that didn't pay for some illegal activities they're doing on the compound, drug deals and so forth, and smuggling drugs and so forth, and they didn't pay up their portion. And they've been threatened to be killed, so they're in protective custody. There's all kinds of inmates in protective custody. Child molesters and pedophiles are not the only ones in protective custody, okay? And for those of you that don't know, those of you that work in the prison know this. But I just want to make it very clear that I did get some comments. I did a pedophile video 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. I got a lot of comments, and a lot of people put, "This is baloney. They're protected. They're placed in protective custody." Well, this example I just gave you of Grogan is not, Geoghan, the Catholic priest, is just one of several that have been killed in protective custody. Okay, folks, it happens. Remember, this is prison. This is real life, not what you think it is, not what you wish it is, and not what you hope it is. Prison ain't a pretty world. Let's just say it the way it is, folks. Things happen in prison. Real crazy things happen in prison. And I've investigated a lot of them. I've seen some things as a correctional officer and then later as a detention deputy. Things happen in jail. Things happen in prison. It's just a crazy world behind those bars. You must realize that when a pedophile or child molester goes to prison, if they brag in any way whatsoever about their crime, they will become a major target quick. If they come to prison and you say to me, well, nobody is supposed to know what they're in prison for. We keep that quiet. That's supposed to be confidential. Well, that's baloney also. I just recently did a video on what's he in prison for, or what is that person in prison for, and I described all the ways that other inmates find out what an inmate is in prison for. Folks, nothing is secret anymore. With all the technology we have and visitation, any visitor can go back home on the street, dig up the information on another inmate, or an officer for that matter, go back to visitation, and give that information to their inmate loved one they are visiting. Okay, the world is not secret anymore. So I do these videos to try to bring attention to folks, to let them know that everything is not cut and dry. It is laid out in policies and procedures and the way we do things in prison to protect everyone behind the walls. Yes. Are they foolproof measures? Are they foolproof? Will they do exactly what they're supposed to do every time? No, they won't. We are only human, folks. Those of us working behind the walls of the prisons, those people making the policies and procedures, those people classifying inmates. Hey, just like this Catholic priest here, it's not foolproof. Officers tried to get the inmates out of their cell, but as I said, the inmate Deuce had jammed the cell door, and officers tried to get him out. By the time they did get inmate Deuce out of his cell, he had already killed the Catholic priest, John Geoghan, and it was over and done with. Too late. Too late. So nothing is foolproof, folks. I just want to get that out there. Nobody is 100% protected behind the razor wire as an inmate, including officers. The officers aren't safe either behind the wire. It's a cruel world behind that razor wire. So think about it. Thank you very much for watching. Gary, your True Prison Stories. Please subscribe.